Today I'm wrapping up a few last mechanical things on the 1980 Rat Rod Yoda, and then it's going to be time for the first start of the 20R. First, I found some brake lines to fit the 1-ton calipers. They're actually rear lines from a 1985 four-wheel drive. And then I double-checked the torque on every nut and bolt for the suspension and steering. This is the rear axle from the Southern Parts truck, and I've actually never taken off these drums before. I should probably take a look behind them before the truck hits the road. And the cylinders weren't looking so great. Neither were these Oklahoma Spiders. I used the FLC200 laser cleaner to strip the rust, dirt, and paint from the drums. Check the description for a video on the laser cleaner if you'd like to learn more about it. If you saw the very first video of my 1980 Toyota pickup, then you might remember my custom 6x6 e-brake. It's going to be so nice to finally drive a truck with working brakes. Might as well take a minute to spray the center of this axle. A little bit of self-etching. My tractor battery died a while back, so I've been using the Toyota battery in it. Well, I just bought a new tractor battery, so now I can finally give the Toyota back its battery. So the battery is too tall for this clamp, and I thought maybe I got the wrong clamp, but this one's a little bigger and it doesn't fit. But we'll hook it up for now and just make sure all the electrical works. There's nothing when I try and start it, not even a click or anything, so either got probably a safety switch not hooked up from when this was an automatic to make sure that it's in park before it starts. That is the loudest blinker relay. So we got one corner light, no headlights. Oh, there we go. This busted switch here is just kind of sensitive. So I've got the safety switch hooked up on the brake pedal. It was hooked up all along, and I checked all my grounds on the little ECU guy down there. All the fuses are good, and this little box over here, this green one, is good. And still, absolutely nothing. Well, I thought about that issue. I trimmed down the U-bolts and picked up some front shocks for a 1992 S10. I did some measuring, and these should be the perfect length and travel for this truck. However, there was one slight issue that I didn't take into account when measuring everything. But that was an easy fix. So I dove into the electrical wiring diagrams for this truck, and you can see from the ignition along the starter signal here, we have a neutral start. And this is for the AT only, automatic transmission only. So I've got something extra on this truck that wasn't on the 5-speed truck that I got the transmission from. And over here, I hung on to the automatic transmission that came in my 1980. And right here, this guy is some sort of module. It's mechanically controlled by the shifter. And it goes to this harness, which has, notice there's a 3-prong plug here and a single one here. Now, let's go back to the engine bay. When I was getting all these wires and everything plugged back in, way down in here, there was always one that I wasn't sure about, and I assumed it was just something that was extra because I now have the Weber carb. But if you look at the plug, it's a 3-prong plug, blue, and a single one, exactly the same as over there on that transmission. All right, I think I figured it out. What I needed was a tiny jumper. I'm gonna show you where it connected on this switch, so this thing should start. And we have 2 side-by-side pins at the top here, and I've just got a short jumper, and I'm gonna connect those 2 side-by-side ones together. All right, leave the bottom one alone. And this, I'm pretty sure, has something to do with the reverse. We'll figure that out later. Let's see if that did the trick. Oh, I don't even need to put my foot in the brake. That's right. Back in 1980, manufacturers didn't have to protect you from yourself, so there is no neutral start on the 5-speed versions of this truck. So if it's in first gear and you go to start it and the clutch isn't pressed in, it'll actually jump forward. They didn't start putting the clutch safety switch in these trucks until I believe 1986. I know my 85 doesn't have one. So we're good. Now, need to add some fuel. All right, I've got no fuel in the fuel filter yet. All right, let's see if a little bit of gas in the carb does the trick. Awesome. The fuel pump definitely wasn't pumping fuel. I tried sucking gas through the fuel line and it didn't have any resistance, just air. So I suspected I may have swapped the lines where the hoses connect to the hard lines under the bed, and maybe I was trying to pump fuel through the line that vents the tank. I took a look at the fuel lines and everything looked okay with the vent line. So I just did a dumb thing off camera. Well, it seemed like a good idea. I got some compressed air and I blew it into the return line, which goes back to the tank, to see if I could feel air coming out through the line going to the fuel pump. And the idea was, if gas is coming through, I'd see it coming through to the fuel filter first, which is clear, and then stop, and then problem solved. However, when I started doing that, I immediately heard a waterfall and it was just dumping out gasoline all over the floor. So I'm gonna soak this up and let it evaporate and get under there because I must have left something disconnected. And upon closer inspection, I had never connected the fuel line. It was right behind the bed mount and I forgot all about it. And now for a quick suck test on the fuel line. Look at that gas. We're ready to fire this thing up. I put the truck back on the ground, reconnected the fuel lines to the pump, and now, with the last of the issues sorted out, it was finally time to start the engine. All right, she's just about wrapped up. The 20R sounds healthy, although you heard it's a little on the loud side. So I've got a muffler here and I got some exhaust pipes coming. In the next episode of this truck, I'm going to build an exhaust myself right here in my garage. Thanks for watching.